Now, in this video, I'd like to dedicate a few words to the legend that was Ronnie Corbett. Ronnie Corbett passed away the other day at the age of 25, and despite the fact that he was so old, it still came as a big shock to me, because I've been watching shows like the Two Ronnies for so many years now, probably most of my life, that I just can't believe that I can't quite believe that he's gone. I'll still never forget when Ronnie Barker died. And when Ronnie Barker died, he had health problems for quite a long time. Ronnie Corbett was one of those kind of blokes that me and a lot of other guys probably thought was going to go on forever. Sadly, we've all got to go at some time. But needless to say anyway, legend would be an understatement for what Ronnie Corbett was. He was only 5'1". But he made the most out of his short height, and he often used to jokingly mock himself about his height, things like that. I suppose he was in showbiz for about 60 years, Ronnie Corbett, and he never failed to amuse. I've met a lot of people who didn't like him, didn't like his style, didn't like what he was about, but I loved it, and him and Ronnie Barker together, recipe for comedy value on a whole new level. And being honest, I think that the years that they did the Two Ronnies was just classic. It was beyond classic. It was so damn funny. It was one of those type of shows that you can watch over and over again. And I suppose a few episodes of the Two Ronnies were stand out in my mind, as being some of the funniest televiewing I've ever watched. They never needed to use bad language. They never needed to use violence. They never put any other artist down. And if they did, it was in a kind of comedic way. But Ronnie Barker especially used to have me laughing, you know, anytime I watched Ronnie Barker, because Ronnie Barker did more solo programs than Ronnie Corbett did. He did Porridge, he did Open All Hours, he did Clarence, and he did a few others, but I suppose his biggest two were definitely Porridge and Open All Hours. Now, of those two, I'm kind of guessing that Porridge was the biggest of the lot. Ronnie Corbett did quite a few solo shows, but I think the only one that I've actually seen properly is a TV show called Sorry. He played a middle-aged man who was still living at home with his mother and father, and he was treated like a baby by the mother at all times. He couldn't seem to escape her clutches, and that's what made the whole show so funny, was because it was Ronnie Corbett being Ronnie Corbett. He didn't need to play the character of Timothy Lumsden. Language, Timothy? Sorry, father. He was just natural at it, because that's who Ronnie Corbett was. To meet him in real life was no doubt like meeting somebody, one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet. Probably never had a bad word to say about anybody. I'm just sorry to God that I never did meet him, because it would have been a dream come true for me to meet such a legend of comedy as Ronnie Corbett. Going back to the Two Ronnies, I'm guessing that one of the funniest parts of the Two Ronnies that I always kind of enjoyed was at the end when they did the news programmes. And there's a few that stick out in my mind, and, you know, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but it was always kind of making a play on news items. You know, sometimes the audience laughter would be so loud, it would be so loud that you could hear this was not a laughing track. This was not your usual comedy situation where they put in a laughing track just to make everybody else laugh, to give the audience the real thing. It was real laughter, straight from the heart. And Ronnie Corbett and Ronnie Barker brought about things that were so funny, so damn funny, that you could be laughing from start to finish of the programme. You really could be. And I have to say that Ronnie Corbett was, he was a smart man. He was a genius of comedy. He made a good life for himself. He might not have been as successful as your Hollywood stars, money-wise and all of that, but you know what? Ronnie Corbett was Ronnie Corbett. And in my eyes, I honestly think that he will go down in history as one of the funniest, most remarkable, genuine actors and comedians out there in the whole entire world. He's gone now, but at least the consolation is he had a long life. He was 85. His death has been marked by a weekend of showings of the two Ronnies on Gold, excuse me, and he was a great fella. I remember when Ronnie Barker died in 2005. I was only a young teenager at that time, and I remember watching the shows after it. It was actually only shortly after Ronnie Barker died that I actually discovered the Two Ronnies sketchbook. The Two Ronnies sketchbook was the reunion that they did shortly before, about a year before Ronnie Barker died, and I remember watching this thinking how great it was. But the impact of Ronnie Barker's death, even at the young age that I was, compared to what I am now, hit me hard. And for the last 10 or 11 years, I've been thinking about Ronnie Corbett. You know, he's been doing his own thing. He did the One Ronnie there a couple of years back. He's been on Graham Norton. He was even in Little Britain. And he made a huge success of his life. And he carried on making a success of it. He's going to be sadly missed. He's going to be sadly missed. So, listen, it's good night from Ronnie Corbett. And it's good night from Ronnie Barker. It's good night from him. And it's a good night from him. Good night.